Dr. McMahon is an Anglo-Indian whose ancestors lived in British India, and she was born and grew up in Pakistan. She is a founding member of the New Zealand South Asia Centre at the University of Canterbury in her hometown Christchurch. She graduated in religious studies, completed an MA in history on leprosy in the South Pacific, and lectured on modern South Asian history. She is currently completing a PhD at the University of Otago in New Zealand. Her publications include several articles and short stories about Anglo-Indian lives, and 2 books, Leprosy and Stigma in the South Pacific, and Raj Days to Down Under, Voices from Anglo-India to New Zealand. We now welcome Dr. McMahon to the podium.
So it was last week that I discovered Harry put me down to speak at the symposium on the diaspora, which is a great honour to be talking to all of you, to be present with the speakers and everybody here. So the topic of Anglo-Indians and the diaspora was the closing of the last session, so I'm sort of walked right into the hot spot. So I thought talking about my own life would probably give you an example of hundreds of Anglo-Indians in the diaspora. Okay? So first but before I talk about that, I want to actually talk about the word diaspora. We commonly talk about Anglo-Indians living in diaspora or diasporic Anglo-Indians, but generally the word diaspora has meant people who've been displaced or who have been dispersed forcibly from an area. I don't think that's true necessarily of Anglo-Indians. They didn't get forced, but some might have felt in 1947 that they should leave. However, this idea of diaspora is also associated with the idea of a yearning for the homeland. Each Anglo-Indian would have a different answer as to whether they yearn to return here and live, but generally they probably have settled now elsewhere, especially since it's 70 years since independence and people have been leaving each generation. I think personally that the word diaspora, which academics have taken to link to an idea of nostalgia for their homeland, but whether you see diaspora as a yearning or a nostalgia, the word homeland is what I find to be the difficulty. Do Anglo-Indians really have one homeland? Did they always have one homeland? I mean, immediately it raised the question. I'm born in 1947, post-August the 14th, 15th. I'm a Pakistani if I can't on that basis say I'm an Indian. In fact, I can hardly get a visa to come to India. I have enormous problems. I have to pay much more. I have been refused sometimes. That didn't happen in the early days. And I'm here today, I'm very proud, but I have to keep myself aware that people don't think of Anglo-Indians from Bangladesh and Anglo-Indians from Pakistan. And the contemporary idea is there aren't any in Pakistan, but I actually went back 2 years ago, and I've been back at other times, and they are. But they've assimilated the way that people here are proud, Anglo-Indians are proud to say, I'm Indian, and I hear the applause when it's there. Yet when people from India talk with Anglo-Indians from Pakistan and say, well, they had to become Muslims and become Pakistanis, there's a sort of derogatory connotation to that. And I really am proud of the people where I grew up in Pakistan and the Anglo-Indians. There was no particular community. I think the big difference, and what I've discovered coming to Madras, first time I'm in South India, I've been to Calcutta and all over the north a fair bit, but it's different regionally and in each country and in each small place. Anglo-Indians are quite fixed to their places of their connections rather than a homeland as such. India, it was a great sadness to a lot of Anglo-Indians, I think, and Pakistanis, that the word Bharat wasn't incorporated for India. India and Pakistan have now become opposing sides, which is very sad. So, but getting back to the Arya diaspora, so am I an Anglo-Indian from India? Well, no, I'm not. I'm from Pakistan. But my parents were from Chittagong and Lahore, and my ancestors before that were in Burma and different places. So I can go back 5 generations in India. But the interesting thing I always find about this idea of identity in our homeland and the mixed hybridity of Anglo-Indians is the majority, vast majority of Anglo-Indians cannot trace their maternal Indian ancestor. The question is on the paternal side, because that was the times where the paternal line is what was counted. And that was where you can trace Anglo-Indians from. You can't trace them unless you're one of the famous names like the Gardeners, to who your female Indian ancestor was. And I think that has always been the weakness in the link of Anglo-Indians who are living in diaspora or outside of India to actually connect. I have this feeling that Anglo-Indians from the beginning, because of their dual heritage, were always what they now call transnationals. As soon as the British left, there was this feeling they've been criticised for thinking they're British and going. But in fact, they've got the two sides. But there isn't that they can't name a place where their family came from in India. And I think that is a great loss, but it's also impossible at this stage to retrieve. I've seen a lot of researchers try. So, back to diaspora. But to talk about a diaspora and a homeland, you have to see that the origins are so difficult to actually trace and really, I could say, and what I do as a researcher is record the life stories of people. I've been doing it for 20 years, Anglo-Indians from my parents' generation, who'd been dead and gone for 40 years for my father, and 98 for my mother about 5-10 years ago. So I've interviewed these archives, and I've done the interviews, oral histories, and I put them in the archives in New Zealand, and they're accessible hopefully later on online as things get digitized. And I published a book editing the stories, but keeping their own language. And the people I speak to, they're not just from Pakistan, because in those days it was British India where they were born. They have to be born before 1930. And my parents were in 1915 and 1913, speaking about the life then, the twilight days in the Raj, why they left, this great sadness of leaving for so many, actually, particularly the men. My father, I think it broke his heart really, he didn't really settle well elsewhere. But the children come along and they're excited to be in the brave new world, basically. And children take on a new life and give the parents a life, and you get attached. And for me, the difficulty has always been that you can't trace the Indian ancestors. So there's no place in India I can call home. My places in India are Darjeeling, perhaps where my grandmother was in a school, and where my father's family went to school in Chittagong, or my mother's family in Lahore. And then, as a teenager, my family went in 1963 to England. So I've become 10 years in England. Go to Australia 5 years, and Sydney and Darwin. Then I married, go back to England, marry a New Zealander, and I lived at the opposite end of the world in a little tiny country for the last 40 years. So that's what an Anglo-Indian diaspora can be. I've interviewed a lot, and many haven't gone just to one place and settled. They've moved. They moved everywhere when they were here in India. They would be born in any place, especially the railway people, the telegraph. They were transferred. So this idea of a diaspora and a transnational, since 1947, and even in the British days, I think has been part of the Anglo-Indian identity, that they were kind of had divided loyalties, if you like, to the land, to the place, to people, but they were always loyal citizens to the place they were living and to their employers, and that's what's strongest, and I think that's what's retained, their loyalty to their family, to their heritage, like I'm here today, I'm researching Anglo-Indians, have done for 20 years, and the growth in the last 10 years of Anglo-Indians who are doing research, either through genealogy, which is a cutting edge of history anyway, or through their own personal different archival sources. But I feel that it's very difficult to talk about Anglo-Indians as having just one homeland. I think if we recognise the whole spirit of diversity that is in us, and be more accepting of the fact that, like I have 4 children who obviously are New Zealanders, my husband's a New Zealander, But my name is Dorothy Doyle, so again, this transnational identity, that was Irish, Doyle. I married a man from Ireland and New Zealand. So we still have links to Ireland, we still have links to Pakistan. My children love supporting the Pakistani cricket team, for example, you know. Big divided loyalties when they play New Zealand. But all these things still remain with the families and they're still there. The children love to have that link. It's been a difficult place to go back to Pakistan, but difficult in the sense of taking a family. You feel a bit insecure sometimes with the things that go on, but I did go back. I've been back 3 times, and I went back 2 years ago to do some research to do with Anglo-Indians there. And like what I see over here with Anglo-Indians, they become Indians and they're proud to be Indians, and that's good. Like ones in New Zealand are proud to be New Zealand, Australians the same. But they have their links to Scotland, to India, to Patna, to Pindi, wherever it is. So there's not just one little place. I think really, I'll mention I was kind of warned when I came to immigration not to be political and not to say or write much. So I was stuck to the personal for today, and I think I'll leave you with that little sort of personal idea of a diasporic Anglo-Indian who's not from India, but I am an Anglo-Indian nevertheless from Pakistan. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McMahon, for that lovely capsule on the Anglo-Indian diaspora. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to address the topic on the Anglo-Indians in modern India. And to do so, we have Barry O'Brien. Mr. Barry O'Brien is one of the country's leading quiz masters, conducting quizzes across the countries for schools, colleges, and the corporate sector for the last 27 or more years. He has co-authored Find Out, which is published by Oxford University Press, the largest selling general knowledge series, prescribed in over 1,000 schools across India. A skilled motivational speaker, he conducts workshops and interactive sessions for principals, teachers, corporate managers, and executives, and students in business schools, colleges, and professional institutes. He is one of India's most sought-after Master of Ceremonies. As chairman of the East India Charitable Trust that runs 2 homes for senior citizens, a school and home for girls from disadvantaged families, as well as a nursery school for underprivileged children. He was nominated by the Governor of West Bengal to the West Bengal Legislative Assembly to represent the Anglo-Indian community from 2006 to 2011. He is today the President-in-Chief of the All India Anglo-Indian Association, in the shoes once worn by Frank Anthony. Over to Mr. Barry O'Brien.
Before Richard starts timing me, I want to say what Richard said right at the beginning. Those of you who left 50, some 60, 40, 30 years ago, you did the right thing. And you've done really well. I'm aware of all of you almost who have gone there, many of you without a shirt on your back or a penny to your name. And even if you had it, you had to leave it behind here, so said the rules. And each of you have done so well in an alien country, made it your own, and are excelling initially against the odds, and now the odds are in your favor. All of us who stayed back, we would like to give you a standing ovation. So those of us who live in India still, could you please stand? No, you don't stand if you're living. Marge, you're living in Australia, you don't stand. But those of us who live here, we salute you, not only for your personal achievements, but for giving back to the community. Thank you very much. You don't have to stand up, those of you who live away in Australia or Canada or the UK or the US or wherever you've come from, but you can give us a sitting ovation for also doing the right thing. Those of us who stayed, mostly by choice, but some couldn't go then, we are really comfortable and happy in India. You may hear stories about poverty in our community. You may hear stories of people struggling. It's true. It's a story of India. It's a story of a population of 1.25 billion people where we do have poverty. But I must tell you that the Anglo-Indian community, according to me, is perhaps just about to reach its peak, believe it or not, and I'm going to prove it to you as I speak. I believe that our Everest moment, our Hillary Tenzing moment is just around the corner. The community is moving in the right direction, thanks mainly to our youth. Actually, thanks to the parents of the youth, because otherwise it wouldn't have happened. You know, Anglicans love to somehow tackle Gandhi I will even critically analyze Mr. Anthony. Not in a book, but in 30 seconds. Yep. Sir Henry Gidney, according to me, is the wisest or the most intelligent Anglo-Indian who was ever born. That's my personal opinion. Frank Anthony was the most courageous and far-sighted Anglo-Indian ever born. That's my opinion. Neil O'Brien was the most knowledgeable Anglo-Indian I ever met. But, ladies and gentlemen, right through these generations, it is the All India Anglo-Indian Association that led the community, but somewhere, I don't know how many years ago, 20, 30, 40 years ago, the association that I had was started in 1876. Somewhere along the way, it became too arrogant. It became too typical Anglo-Indian thing would be nose in the air, maybe, living in a balloon, living in a cocoon, and saying we are the largest, we are the only national organization of Anglo-Indians. That was the first blunder. So you alienated people. You had people leaving the association. And the second blunder, and perhaps the bigger blunder, I think, was not looking ahead. I think the community said, guess what? We're going to back up someday. Of course the community is going to back up, as will all communities. When that will happen, let's forget about it. Live in the day and work towards preserving it for as long as we can, without worrying about when it will come to an end. It will come to an end, you know why? Because the irony of the whole thing is that community has been born due to intermarriage. And that is the very reason why one day the community will no longer be the community because of intermarriage. And as Mr. Maha said, even the Anglo-Indians who are going abroad, who are living abroad, you can't get them to marry Anglo-Indians. You can't put the gun to their head, can you? So neither can we. So we embrace our boys and girls marrying people of their choice and trying to keep Anglo-Indian culture and Anglo-Indianness alive in their new home and new family. Coming back to the second blunder. The blunder of not engaging, not involving, not recognizing, and not respecting the youth. The All India Anglo-Indian Association, and on a larger spectrum, the community, way back in the 50s or 60s or 70s or 80s, never thought about what next, where's the youth. I am so happy, and in all humility, I would like to tell you that in the 2 years that I have been the President-in-Chief, with wonderful people like Oscar Nigley and Venetia Nero and others backing me on the governing body, we have made the youth feel wanted, respected, and we are engaging them. We are not telling them who to marry. We're not telling them you have to learn to jive. And guess what? They know how to jive. Okay? We were stuck in a time warp. I call it the whisk drive, housey bingo time warp. Just because you enjoyed it, that doesn't mean your children and grandchildren are going to enjoy it. Let them do whatever they want to do. Anglo-Indian culture is Anglo-Indian culture still in a different form. When you left India, I was reading in one of Blair Williams' wonderful books put together, that one parent actually told his children in the 50s, you better get out fast, Otherwise you'll be wearing dhotis, not dhotis, dhotis. And you'll be learning Hindustani. We're not wearing dhotis if we don't want to. I'd love to wear one. And we're learning Hindustani, no, we're learning good Hindi. And we're speaking better vernacular language in Tamil, or in Kannada, or in Bengali, or in Hindi than ever before. Because we have embraced India in its current form. We want to embrace India. We want to live in India with all its joys and the charm of living in a country where you have a constitution which was, one element of it was dissected today by Sri Gopal Krishna Gandhi in a way, I'm a political science student, in a way that I've never heard it. The way he put it across, but it's true. So you're wondering, because the media, social media, such as the newspaper says, hey, what about all those churches we heard that were being burnt down? What about restrictions on the way we eat or what we eat? What about mobocracy and cow vigilance who go around killing people who are sort of in the business of cows, let's say? Friends, like any nation and like any big nation, India has huge problems. On one side, we're a booming economy, or about to boom, or whatever they say, and on the other, with mobile phones, everybody, the rickshawala has a mobile phone. But on the other, we have more mobile phones than toilets in people's homes and villages, and even in slums in India. So there are two Indias. And when you live in India, you have to embrace both or accept both. And the Anglo-Indian has done it, perfected it to the T, primarily because, once again, by Sri Gandhi when he said, because we don't have a vote bank, we don't have a caste, right? Each one does what he or she thinks they should do. So, if you don't mind, and if you don't mind me speaking for a minute or two about the political situation in India, how many hands up do you want me to speak about it? Only, oh, lots of you. I expected that, and I'm so happy you fell for it. If any political identity or political party chooses to digress away from the Constitution of India, defy or even challenge it, you can be rest assured India will vote them out. That is for sure. And that is where I think the community has found its comfort level in modern India. We accept it with all its sores, with all the cherryness of its pink cheeks, as well as the sores all over its body. And the reason for that, friends, is the rational Hindu. We have amongst us people who have the names of Hindu gods: Gopal, Krishna, and Ram. Well, coincidentally, they are the Hindus who will really save India, and have done so for thousands of years. Because Christianity, I'm a practicing Christian, is not the most tolerant religion in the world. The center point of Christianity is forgiveness. If you're not a forgiving person, you're not a Christian. Similarly, if you're not an accepting, tolerant Hindu, you're not a Hindu. And I'm going to prove it to you. One of the greatest Indian philosophers and thinkers, and Hindu thinkers, was the great Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, who was the first Vice President of India, the second President of India. And he said, the Hindu thinker readily admits other points of view than his own and considers them to be just as worthy of attention. That's what he said. That, according to him, is true Hinduism. And he says, when the Hindu found that different people aimed at and achieved God realization in different ways, he generously recognized them all and justified their place in the course of history. So if you are intolerant to other people's beliefs and faiths and ways of life, you're not a Hindu. That is the umbrella that India has existed and strengthened itself on. Many years later, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, from a party where many people think differently from him, said, India which is not secular is not India. I can say, Atal Bihari Vajpayee said it. So if anybody has an agenda to try and push you into their form of thinking, beliefs, prayer, lifestyle, clothes, way of walking around, moving around, and what they believe is sacred, you can be rest assured that the Anglo-Indian, the Christian, and every other minority will always be safe, because we are protected by the Constitution and we are protected by true Hindus like Ram, Gopal, and Krishna. I haven't started. I'll ask Richard now to just start my timer to talk about the community. But on a serious note, I will sum it up. What India, the Anglo-Indian in modern India, is with the word search. S-E-A-R-C-H. Remember that, search. S. So let's search. Where are the Anglo-Indians today? Numbers that you may give, 1.5 lakhs, etc., that's all guesswork. Nobody knows the number of Anglo-Indians there are in India today. Nobody. So it's all guesswork. When you went to the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, etc., it was out of maybe insecurity or a sense of, we don't know what's going to happen, let's go somewhere else. Then people started going for the reason of, uncle is gone, mummy is gone, or, brother's gone, let's go and meet them all. Friends, the numbers in terms of immigration are low, very, very low today. There are reasons for that. Of course, the countries have also clamped down, but more importantly, that people there's no longer a need to go because you're not sure about the language. If any of you want to come back, if you come back, just take a small flat and put a board up there, spoken English. Okay? In fact, my driver calls it poking English. I can't even say it. He said, Ami amar meke poking English hai. I will teach my daughter spoken English. That's what he's saying. Learning the English language, even informally, is a booming industry in India today, worth thousands of crores of rupees, and the best place to go is Punjab, because they all want to go to Canada or wherever they must go, and they've got to learn English. I'm serious about it. So there's no question of any other language. English is a cementing language, in fact, in India. Go to the south and go to the north. Most people in the south won't speak Hindi. But English, yes. So it's a booming language. Our schools, somebody spoke about our schools. Yes, it's true. Everybody wants an English medium education. While I'm on the subject of our schools, by and large, many of them doing an excellent job. Many Anglo-Indians, some boarding schools are doing a very good job. But I will be the thorn in the flesh every time I speak. Many schools are not doing a good job. Not only are they not taking our children, they are usurping what is ours. And many schools are Anglo-Indian only by name. Because somehow or the other, with some clever maneuvering and Anglo-Indian leaders looking the other way and not taking them on over decades, many of them schools have actually been lost friends. And the sad part of it is, some have been lost to other communities, some have been lost to missionaries, and some have been lost to individual Anglo-Indian families who have taken over the school as if it's their family business. What we can do about it, I don't know, but it's a helpless situation. There are some schools, day schools and boarding schools who are doing an excellent job. I salute them. But we implore these schools, these other schools that I'm talking about, please do not hide under the umbrella of being a minority school. They have to be, at least take our children and not turn our children out because they can't pay their fees. The numbers are few. Many of our children are doing very well in the schools that are taking them and looking after them. So we come back to, search, where are the Anglo-Indians? Most of them are staying back because they see a future here, they see no sense of insecurity, and here's the fun of it, not living anymore in Whitefields or Ripon Street or Elliott Road or Perambur or Royapuram. They were moving out all over the country. So Dr. Bernard Asami, are you here, sir? I really like the way you speak. You speak from your heart. I wish I could attend your classes. It's physically impossible to do a state because the Anglo-Indians are all over. They're not going to uproot themselves. That was the problem with McCluskey-Gunj. McCluskey-Gunj wasn't a state, it was a sort of an area. And McCluskey wanted everybody to come and become farmers. Indians don't like becoming farmers. Max gardeners in Australia, their own garden. That's Max. No, not farmers. At that time, could we have taken the Andaman and Nicobar Islands? Yes, we could have a debate over that, over several whiskies. But at the moment, we don't need another state because the whole of India is our state. We can live anywhere, happily, comfortably, imbibing the local culture but maintaining our own. The magic of India, friends, is it's not a pot boiler like in the United States of America where all the cultures come and put it into this pot boiling culture called America. I'm just giving an example. I respect America a lot. India is a beautiful mosaic where every community is part of it and shining, sparkling in that mosaic. So the Anglo-Indian community also has that little sparkle. We can go anywhere and make that place sparkle. So they're all over the place. I have in the last 2 years visited about 40 branches across the country, maybe even more. And they're coming out of the woodwork. They're in the Northeast. They're in Gujarat. They're in Rajasthan. And there are even some left, not many, in railway colonies. So they're spread all over India is if you search for Anglo-Indians. The number in a couple of lakhs. Maybe Dr. Dias has a better idea, but nobody can give you the exact number. Search has E in it then, E. I'm going to talk a minute on education and careers. I think you've already heard Father saying it. Father put it beautifully. Instead of saying these guys were basically employable, but basically who lived for the day and had a good time. He said it beautifully, popular and whatever. And then they became serious. Friends, the people who are in their teens, in their 20s and 30s are really, really serious about their education and careers. And they're going into different types of careers. Very few in the railways, very few good ones. Few exceptions in the customs and in port commissioners, etc. They're going into different careers, microbiology, doctors, engineers. The number of postgraduates has probably doubled in the last 10 or 20 years. Postgraduates. The number of graduates has probably even doubled in the last 20 or 30 years. Because the school education is absolutely not enough. They're going into travel, event management, IT, and not everybody, in the old days we used to call them danda heads. You can't say it anymore now, you've got to be politically correct. But all of us don't have a romance with maths or science. No, I know I didn't. So many people can't go through school but become absolutely brilliant, or college. And here the Anglo-Indian is succeeding today in entrepreneurship. Many Anglo-Indians I have met, the greatest education they say is traveling. Then you know the truth. And as I travel, I met a young man in Golden Rock. Well, I met him somewhere else, but he's from Golden Rock. He's got 2 businesses. He's got a mobile van, food van, and he's an event manager. I met a couple in Coimbatore, they're both DJs. Okay? I met in Cochin at least 2 Anglo-Indians, or maybe 3, who have little inns. Where people come and live for 12 rooms and 6 rooms. So this entrepreneurship, which was not a very popular thing, I think, amongst Anglo-Indians before, is really becoming popular now. And people are even using their skills. The president of our Hyderabad branch is the finest old bikes making new maker in the country. He makes old bikes new. Richard is already telling me time and I haven't even started. I'm on the first page. Anyway, I will conclude in the next few minutes. So there's entrepreneurship happening in, now we go to A, which is what I'm supposed to be speaking on, that is the association. I've just told you where we went wrong. I'm going to tell you where we're going right. We are trying to strengthen the association in four directions. Structurally, culturally and socially, that's the same, financially and politically. I'll go backwards. Politically I'll not touch on, we've spoken enough. The Anglo-Indian Association is irrelevant today, politically. You can take it down and you can speak about it anyway. We have to make ourselves politically relevant, meaning our people should be meeting people from the political class. There's no other way of going about it. Financially, we are, I don't want to go into the details of it. Maybe when you meet me over a drink, we can share. Financially, we're broke. But we're not turning to you, don't worry. We're turning to ourselves. We're going to rise from the ashes as far as the finances go. We're going to raise funds, buy events and other means, as well as we're going to reach out to non-Anglo-Indian brothers and sisters who have already stood by us. And if you're there, you can join the party. But I would like to just touch on culturally and structurally. Structurally, we've had the same rules for goodness knows how many years. And so what we've done is, at the last AGM we had in Pune, we made changes to 51 resolutions which changed our rules completely. More than half the rules are all thrown out and changed. One of which is to involve the non-Anglo-Indian spouse and child in all activities of the association. We're giving them recognition, respect and dignity, and not letting them feel that you married, you're not part of our community, you can't come to our shows, you can't come to be part of our movement. So friends, we think that this has brought about a breath of fresh air in the association, and we are reaping we're sort of getting the results almost immediately. We have now 63 branches, 7 or 8 almost dead branches have been revived by us in the last 2 years. We have new branches in about 4 cities and towns. People who are expelled for whatever reason are being invited back to join the association again. People who have never been members are being asked, please become a member of the All-India Association, and our membership is growing in leaps and bounds. I'm happy to tell you, we're looking at how we can have NRI members, how you can be a member. We've got a problem with accepting your dollars and your pounds or your euros or whatever. We'll have to work that out. But I can openly state to you that I will propose to the governing body membership for anybody, not membership, sort of associate membership or loyalty membership or friends of us, without even paying a single dollar. Because we want your involvement in terms of, even if you look at the community, even if you partner us in spirit, that's good enough. I will come to R now, CAR, reaching out. So we're reaching out as an association, but is the community reaching out? Yes. You from abroad are reaching out. All the wonderful organizations in Bangalore, in Calcutta, in Chennai, they're doing good work, social work. The association ourselves, we are reaching out as best we can with our limited resources. If somebody wants to ask me a question later of how we're reaching out, I will try and answer it, but we are reaching out. There's a huge problem in the Anglo-Indian society today, as in many societies in India. It's the problem of healthcare. Education is less of a problem because of all our schools, etc., etc. But healthcare is a huge problem. Insurance, nobody's insured, and the expenses are so high that in spite of everybody wanting to help, nobody actually finally can. That's what we need to do something about. C in the search is culture, language, and lifestyle. Go on to our official Facebook page and you will see that our culture, language, and lifestyle is very much booming, not just existing. Please go on and see whether it's Guntakal or Santragachi or Nagpur or Patna or Allahabad, everywhere we've had massive Christmas functions, dances and even housing and picnics, etc., the community we feel in some way is feeling a bit rejuvenated in the last couple of years. We hope to continue that. And the last is S-E-A-R-C-H. H is home. Friends, I've spoken about the other part of India, but I'd like to end by telling you, India is at a huge advantage. 50% of India is under the age of 25. 65% of India is under the age of 35. So we're a really young country. Even China and Japan can't match us, they're all getting old now, right? Even in your own countries, you will have an older population. Ours is a really young population. And keeping this in mind, we are galvanizing the youth and telling them that, hang on, we don't want to force you to tell you who to marry, or force you to join this association, or force you to be Anglo-Indian, or force you to dance or dress a particular way. Be Anglo-Indian as best you understand it, right? But get involved in the association, get involved in the community, get involved in what Father spoke about, living for others, get involved in helping others in some way, and the results are really, really good. The youth, some of them are here, you can talk to them later, but it's really working wonders. I'm going to end by sharing with you my little message that I shared with the youth of our association at the AGM in Pune, and you will get an idea of how serious we are. I said to the youth who were present there, the Anglo Association AGMs used to be, don't mind me saying this, only fuddy-duddies. Way back in the 70s, etc. Now we have at least 150 to 200 youths at an AGM, young people. And for the last 2 years, we've organized a national youth meet, where only young people come, about 200 of them from across the country. And in our hidden agenda, we also got 2-3 of them also fixed up and getting married. We didn't intend that. But we'll galvanize the youth even through that national youth meet. I'll share with you, since Richard has been really kind, and the customs officer usually is not so kind, I'm going to share with you how I ended my message to the youth, which will give you an idea of how we're looking ahead and where the community stands. As I told you, it's every moment almost. The community is at its strongest today, though we haven't reached the peak. We're getting there. We are about to witness in the near future our Everest moment, our Hillary and Tenzing moment, where we are going to reach the peak because of you, I told the youth. And then I said to them, we as a community, we as the elders, from that song of theirs, Callum Scott, we as a community, we as the elders, will climb every mountain for you. We will swim every ocean for you and fix what we've broken. We're conscious of it, we're acknowledging it, we are fixing it, we are mending it. Because you are the reason, you are the season, you are the future, you we will nurture. The community we will sensitize. As to you, we apologize and continue to emphasize that you are working hard to get to the peak. The power is within you, young people. Go out and compete. There's nothing you can't beat. Give it your best shot, because your goal is Mount Everest. Friends, we are investing in our youth. The Anglo-Indian community is not dying. The Anglo-Indian community is very much alive. For how long more? 2 decades, 4 decades, we're not counting, we're just enjoying the ride. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Though that took time, it was virtuoso. I'm sure every member of the audience enjoyed your speech. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now look at Anglo-Indians and the media. And to address this issue, we have Jennifer Arnold, who has been a household name in this country for over 2 decades, thanks to her being the lead anchor for the South for NDTV. She began her journalistic career with Doordarshan in 1976 and the All India Radio in 1978. most known as a moderator of talk shows. In '94, she became chief of the Chennai Bureau of NDTV. During 2000-2004, she revamped Vijay TV, making it the most trusted Tamil channel for unbiased news reporting. She was also instrumental in setting up the Astro Avani TV channels in Indonesia and Malaysia. She was also closely involved with the NDTV Hindu channel until 2010. Her weekly program, We Connect, on the channel was hugely popular in Madras and the rest of the country. Her show, Chennai Speaks Out, was rated the best in the list of the top 100 shows of South India.
This was before the advent of television in India. And what you saw there was the funeral of our beloved Mahatma Gandhi, the leader of our nation. Melvin de Mello went for 7 hours, non-stop, live commentary on that funeral. I was very privileged to work with Melvin de Mello. Melvin de Mello was the most recognizable voice in India. He was my guru. I learned much from him. But one of the things I did notice in Melvin de Mello, he had this fierce pride in him of being an Anglo-Indian. He would say this all the time, I'm an Anglo-Indian. Do you know I'm an Anglo-Indian? I used to be stunned when he would speak like this wherever we went. I worked with him on various Republic Day performances and during the Asian Games in 1984. He truly was my guru. My own career was fairly successful, even if I sound arrogant as I say that. I had an amazing opportunity to work with New Delhi Television, the country's best broadcasting organization. I had the privilege of interviewing many, many interesting people. Prince Edward on the Royal Yacht Britannia, your Australian Senator, Chris Evans, various Prime Ministers. I had the privilege of going with our Prime Minister to Durban in South Africa. But there have been others too who are now forging ahead in the media industry. And I'm going to run through very quickly. I have just selected 3 of these people. There are many more, I'm sure. And I will ask Nicholas now to run a few little snippets that I have put together of 3 people who are making their mark. Nicholas. And we have Keith Flory. Keith is a senior editor at the Statesman newspaper in New Delhi, highly respected in the field. Right, we work together in New Delhi Television. I understand that she has now given way to that and is enjoying being a mother of twins. But sadly, most of the 3 people I pointed out of them, there's just Beverly who's in television, the other 2 are in print. And it baffles me that there are so few of our Anglo-Indian girls and boys who actually have chosen to go into the media. We have lots of qualities that can help us succeed. And in these days, young people have the opportunity of actually going and training themselves to be journalists. We have here on the stage with me N. Ram. He's the chairman of the Hindu newspaper. And they run the most successful television school in this country, the Asian College of Journalism, based right here in Chennai. They produce wonderful journalists. And I'm really sad to think that not many of our girls and boys are going into this field. It really does upset me. When I think about it, I think that as Anglo-Indians, we have everything that we need to succeed in this business. We have intelligence, we have curious minds, we are eloquent, we have a great command of the English language, we're not bad looking. Thank you, Mom. We're not bad looking. And of course, we have that amazing thing that's called gift of the gab. So with gift of the gab, what more do we want to succeed? I often think that maybe young people perhaps are a little diffident. It's a long haul, believe me. It's a very tough field. I'm not going to keep you too long, but my final comment is going to be one thing. I think that as Anglo-Indians, we have a very high level of integrity. It's true. In all of my years in broadcasting, and I still do some broadcasting, in all of my years, I have very seldom done a story or come across an Anglo-Indian who's been corrupt. If there was such a person, I would have been the first one on that story. And I think that when we have integrity, I think that is the most important thing that we need in any field of endeavor. And at the risk of sounding a little arrogant, I do go all over the world, and at many airports where people recognize me, they say to me, "Oh, if you said it on NDTV, we believed." I mean, that's integrity. And on that note, I'm going to really ask our young people to consider joining the media. It's a great profession. It's rewarding, it's very challenging, but at the end of the day, it's a wonderful place to be working at. Thank you.